Hi, 8th grade. Welcome to your first day of review for the New York State math test. I hope you're having a great break so far. Remember to write down everything I write because this is counting as a test grade, and star or circle any questions you'd like me to re-go over when we get back in case you didn't understand the way I explained them now. Okay, number 1. A certain human red blood cell has a diameter of 0.000007 meters. Which expression represents the diameter in meters in scientific notation? Well, remember, this is a small number, so it's going to be a negative exponent. So right away I can cross out C and D. Then I need to figure out how many spaces I want to move my decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 7 times 10 to the negative 6. Number 2. A function has the following properties. It is increasing and linear when the value is between negative 5 and 3. So increasing and linear between negative 5 and 3. All of the following graphs have that. It remains constant when the value is between negative 3 and 0. So constant is flat across. So I'm going to cross out B because between negative 3 and 1, it decreases. It is decreasing and linear when the value of x is between 0 and 3. So between 0 and 3, decreasing and linear. It is not 2 because between 0 and 3, it's increasing. And the last, it is increasing and nonlinear when the value of x is between 3 and 5. Well, this one's increasing, but it's linear, so it's not A. This one's increasing and it is nonlinear. The answer is D. Number 3. The figure shown below consists of a square pyramid on top of a cube. A vertical plane passes through x and is perpendicular to the bases of both shapes, slicing the figure into equal halves. What shape is created by the intersection of the vertical plane in these three-dimensional shapes? So, we are going to basically pretend you take a knife and you slice through. When you slice through it, we are going to get a shape that looks like this. That is not a square, not a triangle. A hexagon has 6 sides. It is a pentagon with 5 sides. Ms. Gibson made an initial deposit of $500 when opening a bank account. After the initial deposit, she deposited the same amount of money each month. The table below shows the total amount of money A she deposited in the account after a certain number of months T since opening it. So what is the relationship between A and T? So if you look, the increase each time is plus 1,000, and that was between 4 months. So 1,000 divided by 4 is 250. Then between 8 and 10, it's an increase of 500, but that was only between 2 months. So again, that's 250. And then from 3,000 to 3,750, that is a difference in increase of 750, and that happened in 3 months. So again, it goes up by 250 every month. And we started with 500, so C is the answer. 250T, T standing for the number of months, plus the initial deposit of 500. Number 5. Triangle F and triangle G are shown below. What sequence does not transform F onto G? 180-degree clockwise rotation about the origin. That would give it the same image. 180 counterclockwise rotation about the origin. Remember, counterclockwise is going this way, whereas clockwise was going this way. Still both 180 degrees both ways. A reflection over the x-axis, and then a reflection over the y-axis. Well, if we reflected over the x-axis, it would then be down here. And then reflecting over the y-axis would line it directly on top. So C also works, which is not what we're looking for. Then D, a reflection over the y-axis, and a 90-degree clockwise rotation. So if we reflect it over the y, we would get this shape, and then 90-degree rotation clockwise would give us a shape that was like this, and we don't want that. So D is the answer. 6. Which statement explains the type of function that is represented by the equation y equals x squared plus 9? So we're looking to see, is the function linear or nonlinear? Remember, linear means it's in the form of y equals mx plus b. Is that in the form of y equals mx plus b? No. So it's not linear. So I'm going to cross off A and B. Now we need to realize, why is it nonlinear? Is it nonlinear because it contains more than one term? Well, linear has more than one term, so it's not C. The function is nonlinear because the variable x is raised to the second power. Remember this. I don't want my variable, to have an exponent. Number 7. Line N is shown on the grid below. Line Q will be graphed on the same grid. The only solution to the system of linear equations formed by lines N and Q occurs when x equals 3.5 and y equals 0. So x is 3.5 and y equals 0. So x equals 3/2 and y equals 0. So this is 1.5. So this is the solution. The line has to go through that point. So line Q has to go through the point 1.50. So what I'm going to do is plug that into every equation and see if they're true. 0 equals 3/2 times 3/2. Well, 3/2 times 3/2 is equal to 9/4. Is that equal to 0? Nope, so it's not A. Y is 0 equals 4/3 times 3/2 minus 2. 4/3 times 3/2 is 12/6 minus 2. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So 2 minus 2 does equal 0. So our answer has to be B, but let's double check C and D. 0, does it equal negative 5/2 times 3/2 plus 1? Negative 5/2 times 3/2 is negative 30/4 plus 1, which is negative 7.5 plus 1. That does not equal 0. And last one, 0 equals negative 2/3 times 3/2 plus 3/2. 0 equals, this cross cancels to be negative 1 plus 3/2 does not equal 0. Next, number 8. The table represents the linear function f. The equation y equals 4x plus 2 represents the function g. Which statement is true? We are looking at the rate of changes. So the rate of change for function g is 4, and the rate of change for function f, well, we have to see what the rise over run is. Remember, rate of change is slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 could be 24 minus 18 over 6 minus 4. 24 minus 18 is 6 over 2. So the rate of change for f is 3. The rate of change for g is 4. So the rate of change for function g is less than the rate of change for function f. Not true. G is greater. So cross out A and B. The rate of change for function g is greater than the rate of change for function f because 2 is greater than 9/7. Well, 2 and 9/7 wasn't our answer, so it's not C, it's D. The rate of change for function g is greater than the rate of change for function f because 4 is greater than 3. Number 9. What is the solution to the equation shown below? We want to solve for x. We want to get everything away from x. So we work the farthest away first. Subtract 5 from both sides. So we get 2/3 x. Cancels out on the left. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Now we can't divide by a fraction, so we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. This cross cancels, and I'm left with x equals, put the -4 over 1, -12 over 2, which is equal to -6. A company performed tests on a set of batteries of the same type. Company determined that the equation y equals 100 minus 8.9x, where x is the number of hours used and y is the percent of battery power remaining, models the battery life. Based on the equation, what is the best prediction of the percent of battery power for 11 hours after use? So we have to plug 11 into the equation. Y equals 100 minus 8.9 times 11, and solve. First, we have to do our multiplication. 8.9 times 11 is equal to 97.9. Subtract, and it's 2.1. Next one, a cook uses 2.5 cups of flour for each ounce of butter in a recipe. Which graph represents the relationship, the amount of flour and the amount of butter in the recipe? Well, if we use no butter, we're not going to use any flour, so we have to start at 0. So we cross out A and B, but we use 2 cups of flour for every ounce of butter. So if there's been 1 ounce of butter, would be here, we need to have 2.5 cups of flour. So the answer has to be D. 1 cup goes up to 2.5. Next one, last one for today. 2 rectangles are shown below. Rectangle P has a perimeter of 20 inches. Rectangle Q has a perimeter of 30 inches. What are the values of J and H? Well, this has to be H, and this has to be J plus 4. This is 3H, and this is J plus 1. So we know that H plus J plus 4 plus J plus 4 equals 20 inches. Should be a 4. Oh my goodness. And then with the other rectangle, we have J plus 1 plus J plus 1 plus 3H plus 3H, and that equals 30 inches. So we can combine like terms. This has 2 H's. So 2H plus, there's also 2 J's. And then 4 plus 4 is 8 equals 20. So if I subtract 8 from both sides, this cancels. Well, this one doesn't cancel. And we get 2H plus 2J equals 12. But I could divide everything by 2 and see that H plus J has to equal 6. Looking at the answers here, if J and H were both 3, that would equal 6. If J and H were 10 and 4, that would not equal 6. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 9.5 plus 6.5 does not equal 6. So I crossed both of those out. Now looking at the next one, I have 2 J's. So I got 2J. I have 6 H's plus 6H plus 2, because 1 plus 1 is 2, equals 50. Subtract 2 on both sides, cancels out. 2J plus 6H equals 48. And then I could divide everything by 2. j plus 3h has to equal 24.